네, 지금 주요 내빈께서 입장.
Our VIPs are entering the hall. Please give a big round of applause.
Guests are entering the hall. Please welcome them with a big round of applause. 네.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Park Se-won, your host for International Conference on Carbon Neutrality 24. Nice to meet you all. On the Korean Peninsula that has beautiful four seasons, we are here today, especially during the autumn season. I'm very honored to be with you today. So many participants are here today, and I'd like to thank all of you. So let's start with a big round of applause. This conference will be broadcast live online via YouTube. I'd like to thank the many participants who are watching online as well. This event is held in Korean with simultaneous interpretation in English and Chinese. Korean is channel 1, channel 2 for English, and channel 3 for Chinese. 개회식은 한국어로.
However, we provide simultaneous interpretation, so you can set your device to channel 1 to Korean, and channel 2 for English, and channel 3 for Chinese. 네,
Co-hosted by Chungcheongnam-do and the Climate Group, and sponsored by the Ministry of Environment of the Republic of Korea, the conference is organized under the theme of Accelerating Climate Action, Local Leadership, and Global Partnership. Before we get started, I'd like to share with you the schedule for today's opening ceremony. Beginning with the introductory video you have just saw, we will hear the opening remarks, welcoming remarks, congratulatory remarks, followed by 4 keynote speeches, a signing ceremony, and an exciting conference.
Climate Group, with the support from the Ministry of Environment of the Republic of Korea, will center around the theme, Local Government Leadership and International Cooperation for Climate Action. And before we begin, here's a quick overview of today's opening ceremony. We'll start with a thematic video, followed by opening remarks, welcome remarks, and congratulatory remarks. This will be followed by our 4 keynote speeches and signing ceremony and a performance. 네, 그럼 지금
Now let's get started with the opening ceremony of the International Conference on Carbon Neutrality 2024. Before we get down to business, I'd like to take a moment to recognize our guests who have taken time out of their busy schedules to grace this conference. Please welcome with a big round of applause. First and foremost, Governor of Chungcheongnam-do Kim Tae-hum. Please give a big hand. Thank you for your presence. Our co-host, Helen Clarkson, CEO of the Climate Group. Once again, thank you for your presence. Hong Sung-hyun, the Speaker of the Provincial Assembly, please give a big round of applause. Next, Lee Byung-hwa, Vice Minister of Environment. Please give a big hand. Next, Representative Im Lee-ja, please give a big hand. Kim Yong-tae, Representative of the National Assembly of the Republic of Korea, thank you for your presence. Kim Il-soo, Deputy Superintendent of Chungcheongnam-do, please give a big hand. Another very distinguished guest, Park Jung-hyun, head of BUYEO, please give a big round of applause. Weden Baisort, Deputy Head of Mission, German Embassy, German Ambassador to Korea. Ken Alex, Director of the UC Berkeley Project Climate. Carolina Armenta Cervantes, Secretary of Urban Planning, Infrastructure, Mobility, Environment, and Natural Resources. Ding Yeon-seong, Vice Chairman of the Chungcheongnam Province Development and Reform Committee. Tao De-jiang, Deputy Director, Directorate of Ecological and Environmental Law Supervision. Ugadong, Deputy Director General, Shandong Province, Ecological Environment Agency. Last but not least, IT Christine Antoinette Valusso, Province of LOTTE Legal Counsel. I'd like to introduce each and every one of our guests today, but due to time constraints, I'm afraid I won't be able to do so. Thank you for your generous understanding. Before we get started, we'd like to invite you to watch an introductory video for the International Conference on Carbon Neutrality 2024. It highlights the global movement to emphasize the role of subnational governments in decarbonization and Chungcheongdo-do's vision to lead the way in making Korea carbon neutral. Please take a look.
세계는 현재 지구 온도가 산업화 이전보다 1.5도씨 이상 상승하는 기후위기 가속화 시점에 직면해 있습니다. 기록적인 폭염은 매년 반복되는 일상이 됐고 홍수, 폭풍우, 산불 등 각종 기상이변이 동시다발적으로 발생하고 있으며 지구온난화의 부메랑이 우리의 일상 속 깊이 파고들고 있습니다. 이제 인류의 생존을 위해서라도 탄소 중립은 더 이상 선택이 아닌 필수입니다. 그리고 그 해결의 열쇠는 우리가 배출하는 탄소를 줄이고 상쇄할 방법을 찾는 데 있습니다. 제28차 UN 기후변화 협약 강사국 총회에서는 역사상 처음으로 기후위기의 주범인 화석연료에 의존해서 벗어나야 한다는 공감대를 형성했습니다. 이러한 세계적인 흐름 속에서 탄소 중립을 달성하기 위해서는 국가와 지방정부 간의 적극적인 협력체계 구축이 필요합니다. 이에 따라 세계 72개국의 정부는 탄소 중립 실현을 위해 지방정부의 역할이 필수적이라는 데 뜻을 모았습니다.
충남 전국 꼴찌가 전교 1등을 하겠다는 역발상 전략으로 탄소 중립 실현에 앞장서고 있습니다.
And I want to highlight the incredible role Chungnam Province is playing at the forefront of climate action. Kim Tae-hyun, it's investing in clean energy infrastructure, reducing its reliance on fossil fuels. Chungnam inspires others to join the fight against climate change, proving every single day that ambitious goals and concrete action can pave the way for a safe, sustainable future.
충청남도는 석탄 화력 발전소와 고탄소 배출 업종이 밀집한 지역으로 대한민국에서 가장 많은 온실가스를 배출하고 있습니다. 충청남도의 탄소 중립은 곧 대한민국의 탄소 중립. 이를 위해 국가의 2050 탄소 중립 목표를 충청남도는 2045년까지 앞당길 계획입니다. It's time. 지방정부의 참여와 협력을 이끌고 대한민국의 탄소 중립을 실현하는 충청남도의 리더십. 2024 탄소 중립 국제 컨퍼런스.
네, 여러분 큰 박수.
Please give a big hand. We have looked at different conferences and events for carbon neutrality, and Korea has Chungcheongnam-do, which serves as a leader of carbon neutrality. It was a really valuable time to look back on our history. Now, I'd like to open today's event. First of all, I'd like to invite the governor for the opening remark. Kim Tae-hum, governor of Chungcheongnam-do, please give a big hand. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kim Tae-hum, Governor of Chungcheongnam-do of the Republic of Korea. I'd like to welcome all of you for your presence today. Lee Byung-hwa, Vice Minister of Environment, Representative Im Mi-ja, and Kim Yong-tae, Helen Clark, the CEO of Climate Group, Warren Weiser, Deputy Head of Mission of German Embassy Seoul, Philip Ken Alex of SMAC, Hami Tuiwa, Executive Director of IESR, Carolina Armenta Cervantes, Secretary of Urban Planning, Infrastructure, Mobility, Environment, and Natural Resources, Tao Jiang and Kim Il-soo, as well as Park Jong-hyun, Head of BUYEO, and the delegation from the Philippines. I'd like to welcome all of you for your presence today. Distinguished guests, extreme weather events are becoming more frequent across the globe. They are becoming more than an inconvenience to be a matter of survival. This is the last golden opportunity to act on the climate crisis, and we need to work together. In particular, the role of local government is crucial, which serves as a bridge between the central government and the people and the backbone of the nation. That's why this year's conference is held under the theme of local climate leadership and global partnership. Taking this opportunity, we will focus on the role of local governments and how they can work together with the central government to achieve carbon neutrality. Distinguished guests, we must now build on the progress we have made and move to more substantive and intense climate action. A good way to do this is to engage local governments in the renewed international methane reduction efforts. Again, we have to participate in the global efforts for methane reduction. So in July, Chungnam became the first local government in Korea to establish a roadmap for a 35% methane reduction by 2030. And in a few moments, we will sign on to join the SMAC, the Subnational Methane Action Coalition. In addition to encouraging local governments around the world to join the methane reduction efforts, we will continue to share our experience with the rest of the world and work to spread effective policies. I hope that this conference will be a meaningful time to strengthen local government's leadership and international cooperation, and to drive real change to address the climate crisis. I also hope that more local governments will become involved in the fight against climate change, and that national and local governments will collect their wisdom to accelerate climate action. Thank you very much. Thank you for your wonderful remarks. Please give a big round of applause once again. He highlighted the importance of international cooperation and the leadership of local governments in our efforts for carbon neutrality. Since this conference is being held in BUYEO, a city that preserves the rich history and natural beauty of Baekje, we'd like to ask for a welcoming speech from Mr. Park Jong-hyun. Please give a big hand. Nice to meet you all. Thank you for being us today at the International Conference on Carbon Neutrality 2024. I'd like to thank Kim Tae-hum, Governor of Chungcheongnam-do, for organizing this event. The Under 2 Coalition is here today. So thank you. Hallie Clarkson, CEO of Climate Group, and distinguished guests from all across the world, as well as experts in this field. Thank you very much for your presence. For carbon neutrality, we are here today, and we are joined by Lee Byung-hwa, Vice Minister of Environment, as well as Representative Lee Mi-ja, Kim Yong-tae, Hong Sang-hyun, and distinguished guests home and abroad. Thank you for your presence once again. I think that the most important and severe crisis that we face today come from climate change. From 2020 to 2024, for 3 years in a row, our region was hit very hard due to the climate crisis. Especially this year, we experienced extremely hot weather, and the production of our agricultural products sharply decreased. The climate crisis is threatening the survival of humankind, and net zero is a must that we have to achieve for our future generations. The world is accelerating the progress for net zero. We have to work together with international organizations as well as government organizations to achieve carbon neutrality. So I believe that our strong bond and international cooperation is required to make that happen. I believe that taking this opportunity, we are going to discuss very bold policies and enhance global cooperation. Once again, I'd like to congratulate the opening of this event and thank Mr. Kim Tae-hum and all the distinguished guests for being here today. Thank you very much. Thank you for your welcoming remark. Please give a big hand. Due to the climate crisis, chestnuts and other agricultural products saw a huge decrease in their production, especially in this region, BUYEO. That's why we need to work together with our counterparts around the world. That was his point. So now I'd like to invite our distinguished guest for the congratulatory remarks. Hong Sang-hyun, Speaker of the Chungcheongnam-do Provincial Assembly. Please welcome with a big round of applause. Nice to meet you all. I'm Hong Sang-hyun, Speaker of the Chungcheongnam-do Provincial Assembly. I'd like to congratulate the opening of the International Conference on Carbon Neutrality on 2024 with all the residents here. This year, countries around the world saw a huge damage due to the climate crisis. So I think that we have to work together right now to achieve carbon neutrality. International cooperation is now promoted on this event thanks to Kim Tae-hum and Helen Clarkson, as well as other staff members. Thank you very much for organizing this event. And I'd like to thank Representative Im Hee-ja, Kim Yong-tae, Lee Byung-hwa, Vice Minister of Environment, Kim Il-soo, Deputy Superintendent of Chungcheongnam-do, and Park Jong-yeon, Head of BUYEO. I'm very happy to meet you all at this meaningful venue. Today, the Chungcheongnam-do joins the champ taking this opportunity. So I think that in many areas such as hydrogen energy, harbor, and the rest, we can harness our power together and be a leader in carbon neutrality. We can also support other countries for their policies and measures. I believe that many of you are working really hard for carbon neutrality, so I wish your happiness and good health. Thank you very much. Thank you for your wonderful remark. Please give a big hand. He said that about 2.2 million residents of this region celebrate the opening of this event. Next, Lee Byung-hwa, Vice Minister of Environment, will give a congratulatory remark. Please give a big hand. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Lee Byung-hwa, Vice Minister of Environment. I'd like to congratulate the opening of the International Conference on Carbon Neutrality 2024, which is being held under the theme of Local Climate Leadership and Global Partnership. Chungcheongnam-do has declared a bold vision of carbon neutrality by 2045, 5 years ahead of that of the national government, and has been hosting this event for 8 years since 2017, establishing itself as a great example for carbon neutrality. I'd like to thank Governor Kim Tae-hum for organizing this event, and Representative Im Hee-ja, Kim Yong-tae, and Hong Sang-hyun for taking time out of their busy schedules to be here today. Ambassadors from various countries, representatives from local government, distinguished guests, thank you for joining us today. We've experienced unprecedented extreme weather. Korea has also experienced a drought in the Honam region for about a year and 7 months, and the worst heat wave in 108 years and tropical nights. Experts predict that extreme weather events will become more frequent and intense in the future. Going carbon neutral is now the most important and urgent challenge for a sustainable future. This requires a rapid transition to a low-carbon economy and society, and requires both the central and local governments to consider and implement carbon neutrality strategies together. This April, 17 metropolitan governments established the first municipal and provincial carbon-neutral green growth basic plan that reflects the characteristics of each region. This marks the beginning of a new era of bottom-up carbon neutrality led by local governments, which are at the front line in realizing carbon neutrality. In particular, Chungcheongnam-do has set a target of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 43% by 2030 compared to 2018, which is more aggressive than the national target. It also established a Just Transition Fund, enacted a basic ordinance, and established policies to create a carbon cycling industrial complex representing the leading climate leadership of local governments. I'm confident that these policies for the leadership of subnational entities will promote greenhouse gas reduction among the residents and support of Chungcheongnam-do to become the first local government to achieve the goal among 17 provinces. I expect that this event will serve as a venue to share its carbon neutrality strategies and climate response experiences with the international community, and to broadly discuss bottom-up, locally led carbon neutrality measures. The Ministry of Environment will continue to provide policy support to make that happen. Once again, I'd like to thank all of you for your participation. Thank you very much. Thank you for your wonderful remark. Chungcheongnam-do declared a vision to go carbon neutral by 2045, 5 years ahead of the national government's target. And many local governments are trying really hard to go carbon neutral. That was his point. Now I'd like to invite Lee Mi-ja onto the stage. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to meet you all. I'm Lee Mi-ja, policymaker and a member of National Assembly of the Republic of Korea. I'd like to congratulate the opening of the International Conference on Carbon Neutrality 2024. And I'd like to give a big round of applause to Mr. Kim Tae-hoon for organizing this event. Mr. Kim tried really hard for under 2 coalition, and he was re-elected as the head in the Asian region on carbon neutrality. And we are joined by so many participants, including Ami Kumar, ambassador of India to Korea, Warren Boisert, deputy head of mission of German embassy Seoul, Helen Clarkson, CEO of Climate Group, Ken Alex, director of project Climate. So where are you? I can see you.
그리고 트위터의 중앙티베트부 대표 정책관님, 하루투미와 ISR 정무이사님, 중국에서 오신 아까 김주영 부사님께서 사람 많이 하셨는데
And
30년 우정이죠.
Mr. Kim's longtime friend, Ding Young-seon, vice chairman, and Tao Jiang, deputy director, Uga-dong, deputy general of Shindong Dongseong province. Thank you and welcome. I think that it's really impressive to see Chungcheongnam-do from the bottom at the top. I believe that Mr. Kim would make it. Many staff members tried really hard to organize this event. Thank you very much. It's my first time to see Helen Clarkson, and I'm very happy to see you, and I hope that we will meet very soon again. For carbon neutrality, industrial structures are being overhauled and reforms of energy policies are being made as well. And Korea is also trying to achieve 40% carbon neutral by 2030 and carbon neutral by 2050. Despite global efforts, yesterday, according to a study, last year's greenhouse gas emission concentration recorded higher than ever before. Methane concentration increased by more than 200 times compared to the pre-industrial level. I think that it is really a serious problem, and it is out of the trace for our journey to achieving the Paris Agreement targets. If we cannot do something to stop this, I think that we cannot achieve the Paris Agreement objectives, and chaos will come to every corner of the world. So I think that strong bond is required, and in this regard, this conference is very timely. Cooperation between regional governments and the local governments are being promoted, and we are here to discuss how to enhance the cooperation at this venue, and I hope that we can come up with more effective and efficient policies to make that happen. As a member of the National Assembly, I will also try my best to provide the best support that the national government can provide. And economy affects people's lives, but climate crisis affects people's survival. That's why I am really trying hard together with our fellow members. And I will try to provide access to climate crisis by the public, and a legislation has been already passed at the National Assembly on this matter. For climate mitigation and adaptation, a special legislation was also enacted by the National Assembly of the Republic of Korea. This is to reduce vulnerability of the public against climate crisis and to strengthen resilience. I think the Chungcheongnam-do will be the first region that implement that policy. So I hope that many countermeasures and policies will be come up with by so many experts here, and we will complement the existing policies to go carbon neutral more effectively. I expect that this event will contribute to carbon neutrality and greenhouse gas reduction. Once again, congratulations on the opening of the International Conference on Carbon Neutrality 2024. I love you all. Thank you. I was able to see her affection on Chungcheongnam-do. Once again, I'd like to congratulate the re-election of Kim Tae-hoon as the head of the Asian region in the Coalition 2. And Ms. Lee said that a special legislation was enacted and passed on carbon neutrality. Now, I'd like to invite Kim Yong-tae for the welcoming remark. Please give a big hand. First of all, I'd like to thank Kim Tae-hoon, Governor of Chungcheongnam-do, for organizing this event and hosting this event. And I'd like to thank Helen Clarkson, CEO of Climate Group, to make this happen as well. Taking this opportunity, I think that we can discuss cooperation between the national government and the local governments on carbon neutrality, including Korea, Asian countries. Focus on energy transition and carbon neutrality. Especially coal power plant and fossil fuel are the main topic. Of course, they're economically feasible, so the shutdown and the phase out of fossil fuel is not an easy task. That's why so many people are discussing this matter. I believe that we have to find a way to offset the side effects of shutting down the fossil fuel plants. Maybe a nuclear power can be a solution. Most of all, Korea is very strong in battery. So in order to offset the volatile characteristics of renewable energy, I think that we can find a solution related to energy saving with batteries. On top of that, another important thing is that many workers will lose their jobs. So a just and fair transition of energy is a very hot topic in Korea. It is not just about finding new jobs for workers of fossil fuel plants, but helping them to find another job, good job in renewable energy. To make that happen, the government of the Republic of Korea will try really hard to support them and find a way and policy. Recently, last year, I remember, countries around the world agreed that renewable energy should be increased by 3 times. So in order to achieve that objective, Korea should increase the energy mix of renewable energy such as solar power. And as we just mentioned, ESS, green hydrogen, and battery technologies have to be expanded based on the government support. Third, R200 industrial complex must be established on many regions around the world. In this context, I believe that the role of Chungcheongnam-do and other regional governments will be really huge. So I hope that this event will serve as a really important venue to discuss and harness the leadership of Chungcheongnam-do. Thank you for coming to Korea. Thank you very much. Once again, please give a big round of applause. Although it's a very short speech, I was able to see his message for the cooperation between the central and local governments. Thank you once again. Next, Kim Il-soo, Deputy Superintendent of Chungcheongnam-do, will give a congratulatory remark. Please welcome him with a big round of applause. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kim Il-soo, Deputy Superintendent of Chungcheongnam-do. I'd like to congratulate the opening of the International Conference on Carbon Neutrality 2024. Together with my fellow members of this education office, I'd like to thank Kim Tae-hum, Governor of Chungcheongnam-do, for organizing this event, and I'd like to thank all the distinguished guests for joining us today. The theme of today's event is Accelerating Climate Action, Local Leadership, and Global Partnership. For a brighter future of the world, we have to overcome the boundaries, geographical boundaries, and we have to work together with each other. Through education at school, we are trying to teach students on carbon neutrality, and we are also trying to increase the understanding of this matter among students. Going forward, the Chungcheongnam-do Education Office will work together with the local government and implement actively eco-friendly and carbon neutrality policies. Once again, congratulations. And I'd like to thank all the staff members for your hard work. Thank you. Thank you for your wonderful remark. Thank you once again. On behalf of the Education Circle, he said that he's trying really hard to increase the understanding of climate crisis among students. Now, Warren Bicert will give a congratulatory remark. Please give a big hand.
Governor Kim Tae-hum, Deputy Minister Lee Byung-hwa, members of the National Assembly, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me to the 2024 International Conference on Carbon Neutrality here in BUYEO. As we've seen in the video, extreme weather in many parts of the world has amplified the urgency of action in order to respond to climate change. The extreme heat which we have witnessed in Korea this summer is only one example. Whereas mitigation of and adaptation to climate change play a significant role, the reduction of emissions is paramount. In the interest of sustainability, we all should intensify our efforts to reach carbon neutrality as soon as possible. The German government has set itself ambitious targets, and we are working hard on their implementation. Germany aims to reach net greenhouse gas neutrality by 2045. It has set interim targets of cutting emissions by at least 65% by 2030 and 88% by 2040 compared to 1990 levels. Post-2050, Germany aims for net negative emissions. This requires significant efforts by government, the business community, and every single citizen alike. We have already increased the share of renewable energy to almost 60% of electricity generation, and with 46% less emissions in 2024 than in 1990, we are on track to reach our 2030 target. We intend to phase out coal by 2030. Together with our EU partners, we are working towards ambitious EU NDCs for 2035, and we encourage all our partners to do likewise. Living and working in Korea, I obviously also care a lot about your country's efforts on the way to a sustainable future. At the embassy, we try to encourage our Korean partners to be ambitious and to speed up their efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and to reach carbon neutrality. We appreciate what has been done so far, but at the same time, we also see a lot of room for further action. Germany is determined to work together with Korea in this field. For instance, the German-Korean Energy Partnership is a forum to discuss and cooperate on the energy transition, energy efficiency, innovative technologies, and renewable energies. German industry stands ready to work with Korea in this field, particularly on offshore wind energy. I think one of the main results of this conference is to highlight the role of local governments in the fight against climate change. To me, it is clear that their role is crucial. As the government has said, on one hand, they are implementers of national policy. Without them, effective regulation is bound to fail. On the other hand, they are closer to the businesses and citizens in their area of responsibility and therefore play a vital role in persuading them to make greater efforts to reach climate goals. Let me commend Chungcheongnam-do for its leadership in enabling a debate on climate change through activities like this conference. I would also like to express my respect and gratitude for Chungcheongnam-do in formulating very ambitious goals. We have just mentioned that by 2045, not only Germany, but also Chungcheongnam-do want to be carbon neutral. Chungcheongnam-do has joined the Under-2 coalition, and already in 2018, Chungcheongnam-do was the first Asian jurisdiction to announce a coal phase-out by 2050. I think these are all vital steps for the Republic of Korea on its way to achieve its climate ambitions. I'm confident that this conference will make a meaningful contribution to such a nationwide debate, and I look forward to interesting discussions. Thank you very much. 감사합니다.
Thank you very much. 박수 부탁드리겠습니다.
Please give a big hand. He talked about German policies to go carbon neutral by 2030 and go beyond. And he also talked about the cooperation possibilities on offshore wind farms with Chungcheongnam-do. And he also complimented and applauded Chungcheongnam-do's efforts for carbon neutrality. Thank you for your wonderful remark. Next, I'd like to invite our overseas partners for congratulatory remarks. Please take a look at his message. Please take a look.
My sincere congratulations and thanks for hosting the 2024 International Conference on Net Zero with the Climate Group. This event is vital for our global climate efforts, and I commend your leadership in uniting such a diverse group of leaders. Your efforts in advancing towards net zero in Cheongnam inspire us all. Distinguished guests and colleagues across the world, it is an honour to address you as the European co-chair of the Under-2 coalition. The Under-2 coalition now represents over 50% of the global economy. The climate crisis unites us all in a common purpose to build a sustainable, resilient future. As states, regions and devolved governments, we are proving the unique value of our leadership and our responsibility. Achieving our shared goal of limiting global temperature rise requires continued cooperation, the sharing of best practice, and a commitment to accelerating a swift and just transition away from fossil fuels. Our partnerships through the Under-2 coalition exemplify the strength and importance of international collaboration for meaningful action and to deliver bold net zero commitments. As we approach the 10th anniversary of the Under-2 coalition, we have a unique opportunity to reflect on our progress and to set our sights on even greater ambitions. This opportunity to learn from one another enables us to share expertise and encouragement for mutual benefit. Today's conference is therefore an important moment to forge new partnerships and to deepen old friendships. So I urge you all to continue amplifying the voices of devolved governments in global climate discussions. And on behalf of Scotland and the Under 2 Coalition. I wish you every success and look forward to the outcomes of these important discussions. Together, we can inspire the change needed for a sustainable, equitable and a prosperous future.
Good day, everybody. Alan Wundy here from the Western Cape, and I want to say, Governor Kim, to you, and of course to the CEO, to Helen Clarkson. I'm really sorry I can't be with you at the moment, but of course the climate change group and of this international conference of net zero is really important for our planet, and it is an honor for me to be a co-chair representing Africa from the Western Cape here in South Africa and the Southern Tip, but knowing that Africa needs to play its part along with what you are doing across Asia, Southeast Asia, and of course the other continents around the world, that we are all playing our part to get to net zero. Coming out of the New York Climate Week, where I got to meet you, and understanding that we've all got commitments to 2050, but I think really getting those commitments landed and making sure that they are credible and sticking to our timelines, which is really critical, and we've got to make sure we all get that right. I will definitely be pushing those agendas from here in our own very province, which we are very proud of a number of the initiatives and our targets that we've set to make sure that we are playing our part to getting to net zero by 2050 and earlier in many of these projects. But also knowing that we are so severely affected here in this region, as so many communities around the world are affected by climate change and linked back to floods and fires and all of the effects. We are expecting probably a hotter summer than we've ever had before, as we are seeing other parts of our country, our continent, having really gone through a terrible winter and colder times than ever before in subtropical regions with meters of snow, which no one knows how to deal with. These are big issues that we have to deal with, and we have to make sure that our commitment to under zero, and in actual fact our commitment to carbon zero by 2050 are credible, and we are all on track, and we will play our part. We celebrate 10 years, and this celebration is a milestone, but it is also a time for us to take stock, a time for a check-in to say, what have we achieved in the last 10 years, but we have to ramp up if we are to get to our targets. And so I really am sorry once again that I can't be with you, but my message is that I am with you, standing together to make sure that we are all playing our part. And here in Africa, we will play our part. We will grow our membership, we will grow our commitments and make sure that we keep to them, that we are playing our part, joined with you in making sure that this journey together as sub-national regional governments, that we can be proud of the role that we are playing in our parts where we govern for our communities, our citizens, but playing our part on this planet of ours. We only have one. So thank you very much, and once again, I really wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Szanowni Państwo, serdecznie pozdrawiam wszystkich uczestników dzisiejszej konferencji w regionie Chungcheongnam-do. Serdecznie pozdrawiam pana gubernatora Tae Kim, z którym łączą nas bardzo przyjazne i dobre relacje. Nasze regiony od 20 lat współpracują ze sobą. Tematem wiodącym jest ochrona klimatu. Nasza współpraca obejmuje wymianę doświadczeń w zakresie rozwoju i zastosowania technologii o niskiej lub zerowej emisji CO2. Mój region Wielkopolska jest w procesie transformacji, odchodzenia od energetyki opartej na węglu brunatnym do energetyki zeroemisyjnej. Dla nas szczególnie cenne jest obserwowanie rozwoju wykorzystania technologii wodorowych, które proponują nasi koreańscy partnerzy. Chciałbym podziękować panu gubernatorowi Tae Kim za dotychczasową współpracę i ogromne wsparcie dla przedstawicieli regionu, jak również naszych ekspertów w zakresie rozwoju technologii zeroemisyjnych. Chciałem też wyrazić uznanie dla aktywności pana gubernatora na forum międzynarodowym. Wierzę, że wspólnie ochronimy dobrą przyszłość naszego globu.
네, 박수 부탁드리겠습니다.
Please give a big hand. Chair for Europe, John Sweeney. Chair for Africa, Alan Wind. And Governor Marek Wozniak. Thank you very much for celebrating the opening of today's event despite being far away.
This segment features keynote speeches that convey the main messages of this year's conference, including videos. A total of 4 distinguished guests have prepared keynote speeches for us. First, Governor Kim Tae-hum of Chungcheongnam-do will present on the theme, Vision to Spread Leadership of Local Government in the Asia-Pacific Region. Please welcome the Governor to the podium with a big round of applause. Thank you for participating in the global conference prepared by Chungcheongnam-do. Thank you for joining us once again. Chungcheongnam-do is a beautiful region adjacent to the West Sea, blessed with a pristine natural environment. However, paradoxically, half of the nation's 58 coal-fired power plants are concentrated along the western coast of Chungcheongnam-do. Additionally, high-carbon industries like petrochemical complexes and steel mills are densely situated here. As a result, Chungcheongnam-do unfortunately bears the stigma of being the top carbon emitter in the country. In these circumstances, I took the counterintuitive approach of declaring Chungcheongnam-do a carbon-neutral economic special province, much like aiming for the last in class to become the first. This declaration expresses our strong will to actively and proactively lead in achieving carbon neutrality. Under the motto of Carbon Neutral Economic Special Province, Chungcheongnam-do is vigorously promoting coal phase-out energy transitions, industrial restructuring, the spread of a carbon-neutral culture, the attraction of R&D institutions, and the enactment of special laws to support regions phasing out coal-fired power plants. Through these efforts, we aim to reduce methane emissions by 35% by 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality by 2045. Chungcheongnam-do will pioneer a new future of eco-friendly energy and a green economy. Distinguished representatives of local governments and international organizations from around the world, I believe the solution to the climate crisis is clear. Not only governments, but also businesses, academia, NGOs, and citizens must all come together. The role of local governments is especially important. They have more flexibility and adaptability than central governments, allowing for various attempts and innovations. By listening to the voices of local residents, local governments can bring about substantial changes. As a representative of such local governments, I plan to promote carbon neutrality in the Asia-Pacific region in 3 major directions. First, we will strengthen cooperation and solidarity among local governments. Close international cooperation is more essential than ever to overcome the climate crisis. The Asia-Pacific region emits about half of the world's carbon dioxide and has significant disparities among countries in implementing carbon neutrality in terms of policies, technology, and infrastructure. Therefore, international cooperation is more necessary here than in any other region. However, the establishment of a collaborative body involving local governments in the region is currently insufficient. as a focal point for consolidating the carbon neutrality capabilities of the Asia-Pacific region. Chungcheongnam-do will expand the participation of local governments in the Under 2 coalition and strengthen international cooperation toward carbon neutrality. Second, we will support carbon neutrality in developing countries. Developed countries have a historical responsibility for climate change. Those nations that have emitted more carbon in the past must play more active roles and fulfill their duties. To enhance the capacity of developing countries to respond to climate change, Chungcheongnam-do will provide various forms of support, including the transfer of eco-friendly energy technologies, financial assistance, and policy cooperation. Through these efforts, we will achieve climate justice and accelerate low-carbon development in developing countries. Third, we will present a standard model for climate action practice for local governments. I believe local governments have the power to lead national policies at the forefront of climate action and to create nationwide movements. Chungcheongnam-do is playing a proactive and key role in achieving the nationally determined contributions through coal phase-out energy transitions, industrial restructuring, and the enactment of special laws and changing public perceptions. Our strategy for phasing out coal-fired power plants was introduced as a best practice in the 2024 OECD Economic Survey report. We will establish the experiences and efforts accumulated by Chungcheongnam-do as a standard model for local governments, share it with the international community, and actively disseminate it. Finally, I would like to propose 2 initiatives to local governments worldwide. First, I hope local governments will participate more actively on the international stage to share best practices in carbon neutrality and to join joint projects like methane reduction and zero carbon steel initiatives. Second, I urge you to establish concrete and practical action plans to respond to the climate crisis and to transparently disclose them to garner full participation and support from citizens. Distinguished representatives of local governments and international organizations, Chungcheongnam-do will lead carbon neutrality in the Asia-Pacific region with strong leadership. We will spread local success stories nationwide and strengthen solidarity with the international community to achieve global carbon neutrality. We hope you will join us on the path that carbon neutral economic special province Chungcheongnam-do is taking. Thank you very much. We have just heard the governor's vision for accelerating climate action in the Asia-Pacific region. Please give a big round of applause to support Governor Kim and Chungcheongnam-do's vision for achieving carbon neutrality. The governor mentioned that the Chungcheongnam-do was preparing for enactment of the special law, and he emphasized the importance of the role of local government, and he emphasized the 3 initiatives. Next, we will listen to a speech by Helen Clarkson, CEO of the Climate Group. She has prepared a presentation on the theme of the role of local governments in carbon neutrality.
The topic of our discussion is local government's role in carbon neutrality. Please welcome her with a big round of applause.
CEO of Climate Group, and it's a great pleasure to join you today at the International Conference on Carbon Neutrality and be among leading governments, businesses and climate advocates that are taking action to bring down emissions. I'd like to thank Governor Kim Tae-hum of Cheongnam for his inspiring leadership and for hosting this crucial event. This conference comes at a pivotal time for climate action, and I'm really excited about today's theme, accelerating climate action, local climate leadership, and global partnership. It highlights exactly what we need to do, focus on collaborative action. We're gathering today at a critical time in a year that is on track to become the warmest on record as global average temperatures breach the 1.5 degrees C threshold. We're already seeing the devastating consequences of climate change, including here in Chungnam, a region that unfortunately faced fatal floods and landslides this summer. These events are a reminder of the devastating impact of extreme weather events on the everyday lives of people and communities worldwide. In this international context, we see two trends emerging. First, the shift from commitment to delivery. A few years ago, headlines focused on national commitments and ambitious net zero targets. Fast forward to 2024, and it's all about action. Governments, businesses, and communities are under pressure to turn their promises into concrete actions and implementation plans with greater accountability demanded from all sides. The second trend highlights the crucial role of subnational governments, which have become a cornerstone of progress. Cities, regions, and local governments are increasingly recognized as drivers of ambitious climate innovation. In many cases, they are leading the charge, setting bold targets, implementing green policies, and testing the solutions that others can replicate. In the UK, for example, the government of Wales has reduced the amount of municipal waste going to landfill from 95% in 1999 to just 1.6% today. That's led to a 75% drop in methane emissions from landfill in 25 years. But the missing piece in these two trends is the fact that subnational governments can't do it without their national counterparts. Strong partnerships with national governments are absolutely essential if we want to scale up solutions quickly and achieve long-term climate goals. Networks like the Under-2 Coalition, of which Governor Kim is the Asia-Pacific co-chair, with over 180 state, regional and provincial governments globally, are prime examples of how local leaders can drive momentum on the international stage with events like this. Combined, our power is incredible. If all the subnational governments in the Under-2 Coalition were a country, they would make up the fourth largest economy in the world, demonstrating just how essential they are and the immense potential they have to drive change at scale. So all we need to do now is claim our place. And that's why we're proud to have leading provinces such as Chungcheongnam-do, Jeju, and Gyeonggi-do in South Korea as members of the Under-2 Coalition, leading efforts to accelerate a just transition from fossil fuels, building resilience to climate impacts, and implementing bold policies to reduce emissions and transform our economies. National governments provide the frameworks, resources, and policy alignment that subnationals need to thrive. Meanwhile, local governments offer real-world insights and innovative approaches that can influence and strengthen national strategies. This symbiotic relationship is crucial if we are to meet the targets of the Paris Agreement and limit global warming to 1.5 degrees C. The Welsh success on methane was supported by national policy. By instituting a progressive landfill tax, the UK government helped subnational governments across the country raise the finance needed to invest in energy recovery, recycling, and other vital policies. We are at a crossroads. The world needs decisive, coordinated action if we are to meet the climate challenge. Subnational governments will continue to be incubators of climate solutions, and through strong partnerships, both with national governments and globally, we will see the transformative change the planet so desperately needs. We can't afford to waste another year. And that's why Climate Group has launched a global to-do list on climate. We've identified 7 concrete actions governments and businesses can start acting, collaborating, and partnering on now. These will see results within the next 12 months, from unleashing renewables and setting a 5% energy efficiency target, to building a global agency that monitors methane and taxing oil and gas companies to fund the transition. These actions are not just goals, they are essential to get us on track for the 2030 climate targets. So I'm going to stop here and let the global to-do list speak for itself. I look forward to hearing what immediate and concrete action you can take to drive change fast. Thank you.
네, 좋은 말씀 감사드리겠습니다. 잠시 연사자분께서
Thank you very much for your presentation. Now we will listen to the 7 important messages from the climate group. Now we will listen to the 7 important messages from the climate group.
Big results in a year. In 2020, we developed COVID vaccines. In 2005, the G7 cancelled the poorest countries' debts. In 1987, the world united to repair the ozone layer. But on climate, we're still not there. Emissions need to be coming down by a lot every year, but they're not.
Climate action thus far is pretty glacial in speed, whereas it needs to be more like a hurricane of change.
Many governments and businesses still prioritize short-term economic goal over long-term sustainability.
We must go faster. It's time to act. At Climate Group, we've developed a 1-year to-do list, 7 ambitious actions, a role for every government and business. All are possible and deliver the speed of results we need. Let's not waste another year. Here's the plan. 1. It's time to support workers to power down coal. How much faster could we go with the right compensation? If we paid salaries for 3 years after a site shuts early and funded workers' reskilling and moving costs. Not only do we need no new plants this year, but a bolder plan to replace much more coal by 2030. 2. It's time to unleash renewables. They're being held back by regulation and unambitious targets in many markets, and delayed by permitting and a lack of infrastructure elsewhere. To achieve the tripling target for 2030, we must break down these barriers this year. 3. It's time for a global ban on relining steel blast furnaces. The future is electric furnaces and green hydrogen. Stop investing now in plants that will use coal for 15 years or more. Co-investment from governments would help charge the market for green steel and hydrogen. 4. It's time to get serious on methane. We need a more powerful global agency to tackle this highly dangerous gas. By COP next year, it should audit fossil fuel companies' declarations and delivery. We now have the satellite data to stop the hiding of emissions, and this agency should be given the resources and talent to tackle the biggest leaks fast. 5. It's time to stop ignoring energy efficiency. It's doable, it's profitable. Every business should set a target to become 5% more efficient in 12 months' time by managing insulation, heating, cooling, and industrial energy. Governments should do the same for their estates and be even bolder. The G20 should set a minimum investment incentive following the lead of the US. 6. It's time to buy clean. Leaders have proved we can buy 100% EVs and renewables, buy healthier, lower carbon food for canteens, and buy lower carbon steel and concrete. From this year, these should be minimum procurement standards for every large business and state, city, and national government. 7. It's time for oil and gas profits to better support climate action. At Climate Group, we believe the G20 should agree a minimum new import tax on oil and gas. A few dollars per barrel would raise hundreds of billions of dollars to support the transition for consumers, industry, and lower income countries.
A bold list of climate actions like this can be really effective because these target key areas need change.
Where we are today delay is dangerous. We're witnessing temperature rise. There is flooding happening. People are dying.
We have to be more ambitious on climate action right now because we're staring down the barrel of a gun.
We only have one planet and we only have one time to make it right. And the time is now.
A year of delay is, well, it's a body bag count.
1 year, 7 actions. Stretching but possible. It's time for a global to-do list to drastically cut emissions and put us on track. It's time to be confident in what we can achieve. It's time to up our game.
Please give them a big round of applause. It was the 7 messages from the climate group. And we learned about the role and importance of local government in responding to the climate crisis. Let's give a big round of applause to Helen Clarkson, CEO of the climate group, for an excellent message. Lastly, Mr. Ken Alex, manager of UC Berkeley Project Climate and director of SMEG, will present on the theme of the importance of methane reduction for responding to the climate crisis.
UC Berkeley Project Climate, UC Berkeley School of Law. The title of his presentation is Sub-National Methane Action. Please welcome him with a big round of applause. 큰 박수로 맞이해 주시면 감사하겠습니다.
Good morning, Governor and distinguished guests. Thank you very much for inviting me here today. I bring greetings not just from UC Berkeley, but also from the state of California, who we've partnered with on a project that you'll hear about in a minute. So I just want to talk briefly this morning about something that you've heard about a little bit already, which is methane, or methane, depending if you're from the United Kingdom or from America. We'll have a whole session on methane this afternoon, so I hope you'll join us for that as well. But I want to talk about why it's important and why it's so important that Chungnam is going to participate in the Subnational Methane Action Coalition, or SMAC, which I'll talk about in just a minute. Let me see which slides I have here. Okay. So, methane is the second most important greenhouse gas after CO2, carbon dioxide. It's responsible for as much as 35% of the human-caused climate change, global warming. But it also creates a really interesting opportunity. As it says up here, methane is about 80 times as potent a greenhouse gas over 20 years as CO2. But the key thing about methane, one of the key things about methane, is that it lasts in the atmosphere only about 10 to 15 years, unlike CO2, which can last for 100 years or more. So if we emit CO2 today, it will be in the atmosphere for the rest of our lives. But if we stop emitting methane, not only do we get the reduction from that emission reduction, but in 10 or 15 years, that methane will dissipate in the atmosphere, creating some additional time for action. The estimate is if we reduce methane by 50%, we will reduce the climate forcing by 0.3 degrees Celsius. Now that may not sound like a lot, but if we're trying to keep our temperature rise below 1.5 degrees, 0.3 degrees is a very significant amount and creates an opportunity. The other point about methane worth mentioning is that it comes from about 4 separate sectors, unlike CO2, which comes from everywhere in the economy. So methane comes most of all from agriculture, and within that from livestock and rice production, from coal mining, from oil and gas operations, and from landfill waste. These are not easy sectors to reduce emissions, but there's only 4 primary sets of sectors that we have to focus on, and that creates an opportunity as well. So thinking about that opportunity and also highlighting the comments made by Governor Kim and others of the importance of subnational organizations, I started thinking about what is the role of subnationals with methane reduction. Before I came to UC Berkeley, I worked for Governor Jerry Brown in California as his senior policy advisor. And so I became keenly aware of what Governor Kim mentioned about the important role subnational governments play and how they operate between national governments and much closer to the people. But another important element is that subnational governments don't always have the same amount of resources that national governments have. California, for example, which is a fairly wealthy state, has 58 counties and 435 cities, each of which has obligations around how they deal with climate change and has to deal with methane emissions from landfills, from agricultural waste and other sources. So together with the state of California, we proposed and have moved forward with the Subnational Methane Action Coalition to bring subnational governments around the world together to work together on best practices, on how we use data from satellites that Helen Clarkson mentioned. We're about to have massive amounts of data from satellites looking at methane leaks all over the world. There are about a dozen satellites that are coming into operation in the next year. And that will create opportunities, but also difficulties in figuring out how to get that data and to use it in a way that is effective. And so part of what SMAC, the Subnational Methane Action Coalition, is designed to do is to help subnational jurisdictions to work together to figure out how to create plans, how to take data, and how to move forward with their actions on methane emissions. So what we can do is to bring subnational governments around the world together with organizations like the Climate Group, with entities like UC Berkeley. We're working with our School of Engineering on some solutions around landfill waste. And so it is with great anticipation and pleasure that I am here today to witness the signing of Chungcheongnam as part of the SMAC coalition. And I think with that, I'll just say thank you and look forward to the signing and also to this afternoon's methane discussion where we'll go into some more detail. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation. And would you like to stay on stage for a moment for the signing ceremony? Thank you very much. 네, 이제 지방 정부 메탄 행동 연합 충청남도 가입 서명.
I'd like to ask Director Ken Alex to wait for a moment on the stage for the signing ceremony for Chungcheongnam-do province to join the Subnational Methane Action Coalition. We are pleased to welcome Ken Alex and Governor of Chungcheongnam-do to the stage to sign the agreement for the global cooperation on methane reduction and technology sharing. Please give a big hand. Mr. Kim is now signing the agreement to join the SMAC.
Oh, thank you.
Now, the Subnational Methane Action Coalition, or SMAC, is where the Chungcheongnam-do joins today. And now, we will take a group photo with the document. And please join us in giving a big round of applause. Please make a big smile. We will take a photo with a big smile. This wraps up the signing ceremony for the SMAC. Please return to your seat. Please, once again, give a big round of applause. The signing ceremony marks the region's formal accession to the Subnational Methane Action Coalition. Now, we're looking forward to the highlight of the opening ceremony, a laser performance with key message about the strong determination and the key role of Chungcheongnam-do to become the world's leading carbon neutrality hub. Let's take a look. International Conference on Carbon Neutrality 2024. Chungcheongnam-do aims to achieve carbon neutrality by 2045 with rich opportunities and energy. Global climate leader Strong Chungnam. Future economy, energy transition economy, circular economy, economy for people's lives, national hub for carbon neutrality. In order to achieve carbon neutrality, we seek for a shift to renewable energy, accelerating greenhouse gas reduction through methane reduction, and leading subnational-oriented net zero. International Conference on Carbon Neutrality 2024. By leading the CHAMP initiative and serving as a core of Global Hub, Chungcheongnam-do will be a leader of net zero. Please give a big round of applause. It was a wonderful performance. Very impressive laser performance. I hope you enjoyed it. The opening ceremony for the International Conference on Carbon Neutrality 2024. And now it's time to demonstrate the vision and commitment of Chungcheongnam-do as carbon-free global hub. Now we'd like to invite our VIPs on stage to carry out a performance to pledge the realization of carbon neutrality. If I call upon your name, please come up to the stage. Mr. Kim, Governor of Chungcheongnam-do, please come up to the stage. Once again, let me invite our VIPs onto the stage to perform our pledge the realization of carbon neutrality and cooperation between local governments. If I call upon your name, please come up to the stage. Mr. Kim Tae-hum, Governor of Chungcheongnam-do. If I call upon your name, please come up to the stage and please give a big round of applause. Hong Sang-hyun, Vice Minister of Environment Lee Mi-ja, Kim Yong-tae, Mr. Kim In-soo, Park Jung-hyun, Helen Clarkson, Warren Basert, Deputy Head of Mission of German Embassy Seoul, Carolina Arventa Cervantes, Ken Alex,
님 참석해 주셨고요. 네, 저희 이제 터치 퍼포먼스
Before we carry out a performance, we will take a group photo. Please stand towards the camera in front of you.
For this photo, thank you very much. Please look forward to the camera. 네, 저희 두 번째 포즈 해보겠습니다. 저희 화이팅 포즈 한번 해보겠습니다. If you know this pose for Korean fighting, like way to go. This is a typical pose for the photo session for us. 네, 저희 그리고 다음 포즈 한번 진행해 보도록 하겠는데 마지막 포즈입니다. 이 한국 하트 한번 진행해 보겠습니다. Korean heart, if you know this pose. If you know this pose, please join us in taking this picture with this fun pose. 네, 앞에 한번 봐주시면 감사하겠습니다. 네, 기념 촬영 이 정도면 괜찮아요.
This concludes the group photo session. Let me start our performance. In this performance, you can see the wishes of the people of Chungcheongnam-do who want to realize carbon neutrality with the message of support. After a while, the countdown will be shown in the video, and I'd like to appreciate it if you would shout out the countdown together. Are you ready? Thank you. Are you ready? Thank you for your support.
So you can touch the buttons in front of you. 네, 그럼 저희 바로 시작하겠습니다.
Let me start. For those of you on stage, please press a button on the device.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, touch.
Chungnam is getting a lot of attention with his goal for 2045 net zero together with the world. Chungnam's change serves as standard for global climate action. Once again, please give a big hand. It was a historic moment for all of us to mark our commitments for carbon neutrality. Last but not least, for those of you on stage, please wait for a moment. Okay? Okay, please return to your seat. This wraps up the opening ceremony of the International Conference on Carbon Neutrality 2024. In the afternoon, we will continue to have great sessions in the main venue where you are sitting, as well as in Kumdong Room and Deoksul Room. We look forward to your interest and participation. The luncheon will be held in Bondimasul on the ground floor of this resort. Due to the limited space, we may not be able to serve everyone at once. If all the seats are occupied, please wait for a moment. Also, the meal will be served to those who have registered on site and are wearing a name tag. So if you have not yet received your name tag, please be sure to get it before entering the luncheon room. I've been happy to serve you as MC. Thank you very much. We will see you later in the afternoon.